Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight's story is one you won't forget. A story about kindness, trust, and a twist that no one saw coming. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. It was a cold, quiet evening in a small town where life moved slowly and people mostly kept to themselves. The streetlights flickered faintly, and a gentle wind rustled through the trees. Inside a modest, slightly worn-down house at the end of the street lived Daniel, a poor single father who had been doing everything he could just to survive. Daniel wasn't always struggling. Years ago, he had a stable job, a loving wife, and a dream of building a better life for his little family. But life had a way of changing everything in a blink. After his wife passed away from an illness, everything fell apart. Medical bills drained his savings, and eventually, he lost his job. Now, all he had left was his small house, his dignity, and his 6-year-old son, Liam. That night, Daniel had just finished putting Liam to bed. The boy hugged his father tightly before drifting off to sleep, unaware of the heavy worries that weighed on Daniel's mind. Rent was overdue, the fridge was nearly empty, and the electricity bill sat unpaid on the kitchen table. Daniel sighed as he sat down, rubbing his tired eyes. "I'll figure something out," he whispered to himself. He always did. Just as he was about to turn off the lights, a sudden knock echoed through the house. Daniel froze. At this hour, no one ever came by. The knock came again, this time softer, hesitant. Carefully, Daniel walked toward the door. His instincts told him to be cautious, but something about the knock didn't feel threatening. It felt desperate. He opened the door slowly. Standing there was a young girl, no older than 10. Her clothes were slightly dirty, her hair messy, and her eyes filled with fear and exhaustion. She looked like she had been walking for miles. "Please," she said in a trembling voice, "I'm lost." Daniel's heart sank instantly. "Where are your parents?" he asked gently. I don't know," she replied, looking down. "I got separated. I've been trying to find them, but I can't." Daniel glanced down the empty street. No cars. No signs of anyone searching. "Do you remember your address?" he asked. She shook her head. "Your name? Emma?" Daniel hesitated. He knew letting a stranger into his home wasn't the safest decision. But this wasn't just anyone. This was a scared little girl, alone in the night, and he couldn't turn her away. "Come in," he said softly. Emma stepped inside, looking around. The small house, it was simple, worn, but clean. She wrapped her arms around herself, still shivering. "Sit down," Daniel said. "I'll get you something warm." He went into the kitchen and poured her a cup of tea. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. He even found a small piece of bread and gave it to her. Emma took it with both hands and ate quickly, like she hadn't eaten in hours. Daniel noticed. "Easy," he said kindly. "There's more if you need," but there wasn't. He just didn't want her to feel like a burden. After a few minutes, Emma looked a little more relaxed. Her eyes wandered to a small photo on the wall. Daniel, Liam, and a woman smiling brightly. "Is that your family?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Yeah, that's my son Liam. And my wife? Where is she?" Emma asked innocently. Daniel paused for a moment. "She passed away." Emma's expression softened. "I'm sorry." "It's okay," Daniel said gently. "We're doing our best." At that moment, Liam appeared from the hallway, rubbing his eyes. "Dad," he said, sleepily. "Who's that?" "This is Emma," Daniel replied. "She's lost. See, stay with us tonight." Liam smiled shyly. "Hi." Emma smiled back, just a little. "Can she sleep in my room?" Liam asked. Daniel chuckled softly. "You'll have to share." "I don't mind," Liam said. And just like that, the two kids disappeared into the room. We're already talking like they'd known each other forever. Daniel leaned back against the wall, exhausted but strangely at peace. For the first time in weeks, he felt like he had done something right. The night passed quietly, but across the city, something very different was happening. Police sirens filled the air. Expensive cars lined the streets outside a massive mansion. Security teams rushed in and out, speaking urgently into radios. A billionaire businessman paced back and forth in a grand living room, his face pale with worry. "My daughter is missing," he said sharply. "I don't care what it takes. Find her." This wasn't just any man. He was one of the most powerful figures in the country. And his daughter, Emma, had vanished without a trace. Back at Daniel's house, the morning sunlight crept through the windows. Emma woke up slowly, looking around the unfamiliar room. For a brief moment, she looked confused. Then she remembered. Liam was still asleep beside her, hugging his toy. She smiled. For the first time since getting lost, she felt safe. In the kitchen, Daniel was trying to make breakfast. If you could even call it that. He scraped together the last of the eggs and a bit of bread. When the kids walked in, he greeted them with a warm smile. "Good morning," he said. "Morning," Liam replied. Emma hesitated. "Thank you for letting me stay. Daniel nodded. Of course. As they sat down to eat, there was another knock on the door. This one was loud, urgent. Daniel frowned and walked over, opening the door carefully. Standing outside were two men in suits, and behind them, several police officers. "Are you Daniel?" one of the men asked. "Yes, we're looking for a girl. About 10 years old? Name Emma." Daniel's heart skipped. "Yes, she's here." Before he could say anything else, the men stepped aside, and there he was, Emma's father. The billionaire. His eyes scanned the room. In the moment he saw Emma, his expression changed instantly. Relief flooded his face. "Emma," he called. Emma ran to him without hesitation. "Dad?" He knelt down, hugging her tightly. "Where have you been? We've been looking everywhere." "I got lost," she said. "But he helped me." She pointed at Daniel. The man stood up slowly, turning his attention to Daniel. For a moment, there was silence. Daniel suddenly felt out of place, standing there in his worn clothes, in his tiny house, facing one of the richest men alive. "Sir," Daniel said nervously. "I didn't know who she was. She just needed help." The man looked at him carefully. Then something unexpected happened. He stepped forward and extended his hand. "Thank you," he said sincerely. Daniel blinked, surprised. It was nothing." "It wasn't nothing," the man replied. "You took in a stranger? You protected my daughter when you didn't have to?" Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. "Dad, they were really nice, and they shared their food with me." The man's expression shifted again, this time noticing the empty kitchen, the modest home, the quiet signs of struggle. He understood. "You didn't just help her," he said. "You gave her safety. That means everything." Daniel didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to this kind of attention. The man turned to one of his assistants. "Make sure everything here is taken care of." Daniel frowned slightly. "You don't have to," but the man raised his hand gently. "Please," he said, "let me do this." Within days, everything changed. Daniel received a job offer, a real one, stable, well-paying, and suited to his skills. His debts were cleared. Liam was enrolled in a good school, and the small, worn-down house was repaired and restored. But more than anything, something else changed. Hope. For the first time in years, Daniel felt like life was giving him another chance. One evening, as Daniel tucked Liam into bed, the boy looked up at him and asked, "Dad, are we going to be okay now?" Daniel smiled softly. "Yeah," he said, "I think we are." And somewhere across the city, in a mansion filled with luxury, a little girl named Emma smiled too, knowing that one act of kindness had changed everything. Because sometimes, the smallest decisions, like opening a door for someone in need, can lead to the biggest miracles. And that's the story of how a poor single dad helped a lost girl without knowing she was a billionaire's daughter. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories just like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.